Daniel Carter was a hardworking single father who had built his entire life around his 7-year-old daughter, Lily. Every morning, he prepared her breakfast, packed her school bag, and rushed to his job as an executive assistant at Hartwell Enterprises. His boss, Victoria Hart, was a brilliant and powerful CEO who seemed to have everything: money, success, and respect, but almost no one knew how lonely she really was. One rainy morning, Daniel arrived late at work because Lily had needed him. Victoria was annoyed, but Daniel quickly proved that he could handle everything. He worked harder than anyone, always putting his responsibilities first. Although Victoria rarely showed kindness, she secretly noticed how dependable he was. That afternoon, during an important board meeting, Victoria suddenly became pale and grabbed her chest. Daniel immediately realized something was wrong. Before anyone could stop him, she collapsed into his arms. "Call an ambulance," someone shouted. But the storm had caused delays. Daniel refused to wait. He carried Victoria to the company car and rushed her toward the nearest hospital. "Stay awake," he kept telling her. "Please, Victoria. Just stay with me." She weakly opened her eyes. "Why, do you care?" "Because you're not alone," Daniel replied. At the hospital, doctors rushed Victoria into emergency care. Daniel waited outside, pacing nervously. He wasn't her husband or family member. He was only her employee. Yet he stayed. After several frightening minutes, a doctor finally came out. "She's stable," he said, "but she needs more tests." Daniel sighed with relief. When he entered her room, Victoria looked exhausted and vulnerable. "You should go home," she whispered. "I will," Daniel said. "But not until I know you're okay." Victoria stared at him. "Why did you stay?" Daniel smiled gently. "Because nobody should have to be alone when they're scared." Those words touched something inside Victoria that she had kept buried for years. The next morning, Daniel returned with Lily. The little girl carried a drawing and walked shyly toward Victoria. "Are you Daddy's boss?" Victoria smiled. "Yes." Lily handed her the drawing. It showed a house with 3 people standing outside. "That's me, Daddy, and you," Lily explained. Victoria looked at the picture in surprise. "Why am I in your house?" "Because sick people shouldn't be alone," Lily answered innocently. Victoria's eyes filled with tears. No one had ever made her feel like she belonged somewhere. Over the next few weeks, Daniel continued helping Victoria and managing her responsibilities while she recovered. One evening, Victoria finally told him the truth. "My father died when I was young. My mother left. I spent my whole life believing that if I became successful enough, I would never need anyone." Daniel listened quietly. "But when I woke up in that hospital," she continued, "I realized I had everything except someone who would stay." Daniel looked at her. "You have people now." Victoria smiled sadly. "Do I?" "You have Lily." Victoria laughed softly. "She barely knows me. She likes you. That's enough." Before Daniel could leave, Victoria reached for a hospital form. She picked up a pen and slowly filled it out. Daniel glanced at the paper. Then he froze. Under emergency contact, Victoria had written one name. Daniel Carter. "Victoria, why did you put my name?" She looked directly into his eyes. "Because when I was afraid, you stayed." Daniel didn't know what to say. "You're my boss," he whispered. "Maybe," Victoria replied, "but you're also the first person who made me feel like I wasn't alone." When Victoria returned to work, she surprised everyone by promoting Daniel to operations manager. Some employees questioned the decision, but Victoria defended him. "Daniel earned this," she said. "Not because he took me to the hospital, but because he has shown loyalty, honesty, and dedication every single day." Daniel was grateful, but something between them had changed. Months passed. Victoria became part of Daniel and Lily's life. She attended Lily's school play, helped with homework, and even learned how to make Lily's favorite pancakes. One evening, after Lily went upstairs, Victoria stood beside Daniel in the kitchen. "Do you remember the hospital form?" she asked. Daniel smiled. "How could I forget? You asked why I wrote your name." "I did." Victoria took his hand. "Because sometimes the person who saves you isn't the one who arrives with money or power. It's the person who refuses to leave." Daniel's eyes filled with emotion. "What are you saying?" Victoria smiled. "I don't want to be your boss forever." Daniel laughed softly. "Then what do you want to be?" She looked into his eyes. "Someone you come home to." Daniel stood speechless. For years, he had believed that protecting his daughter meant keeping his heart closed. But now he understood that love didn't always destroy families. Sometimes, the right person helped build one. The next morning, Lily ran downstairs and saw Victoria at the breakfast table. "Are you staying?" Victoria smiled. "Yes." "Forever?" Victoria looked at Daniel. Daniel smiled back. "I think so." Lily hugged Victoria tightly. And in that moment, Victoria finally understood that the hospital form had not simply given the doctors an emergency contact. It had given her a family. A single father had rushed his boss to the hospital because he couldn't leave her alone. But in the end, she wrote his name on the form because she had discovered something far more important. He was no longer just the man who saved her life. He was the man she wanted beside her for the rest of it. If this story touched your heart, make sure to subscribe to Heartwarming Tales Hub, turn on the notification bell, and stay with us for more emotional stories of love, family, sacrifice, and unexpected second chances.